Hey, this is me, Dark Meta. Hi, what the heck? I just watched a movie. I used to watch 400 movies a day, every day, for every day. I used to watch a lot of movies, and movies became ridiculous, and I just quit. I lost all interest for a very long time. Then a bunch of things happened that make it so I can't really sit down and clear my mind. I never can do it. It doesn't even occur to me. Anyway, on some whim, I watched this movie just now. The Space Apart, full sci-fi movie. I forgot what the thumbnail has on it. I don't want to exit this. I think it had a flying saucer. A saucer! And it starts like in 1947, I believe. So it's kind of like a take on the Roswell crash. Obviously, some of it was like created as a story, but it's pretty much following what seems to have happened from all the accounts. So it's going off of like realism, like this is based in a true story, like this potentially could be a true story. And then, well, what happened with that? And it's developing and everything. I don't know how big of a budget this had. Some independent movie maker guy, some dude with a camera, a college person with $100,000 camera from school, spent 3 months doing this, and they've been a filmmaker for 10 years, and I don't know. It could just be someone who's like, yep, no idea of the situation, but I watched it and I'm like, all right, a lot of times you might get just not necessarily low budget, and don't think low budget means low quality. Usually it means higher quality. Seems the more money you pump into stuff, the more artificial it becomes and stupid. Yeah, you can just have a camera. Look at Blair Witch. Literally just filming on like a camcorder. The story is what drove the whole thing. Anyway, I just watched this movie, and the ending, wow, that was kind of like, it wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it. I wasn't expecting that to happen. And I think I was daydreaming right then, and it was sort of a strange point. Like, suddenly, you don't realize the movie's ending, and suddenly it's just like there. Like, wait, what? And then you realize what's happening after it ended. So the credits are rolling, and you still are like, wait, so you're coming to this realization like it's over. Also, what am I looking at? What happened? Wait, it's over? And then you get that thought, what just happened? What led up to, how did I get here? Wait, okay, I'm in a room. What's going to happen now? Oh, wait, the room is closing down, but I'm in the room. What's going to happen in the room now? Wait, what happened in the room before this? So it's all this kind of, and it's not, I don't know, even in Hollywood, when directors and writers, they try to be edgy or throw you off, it still feels kind of formulaic, like there's some formula. Not to say that it's predictable or pattern-like or a sequence, but it's a sequence. You're not just wandering through a random patch of forest. You're walking on a trail. So where the trail turns, you are turning, and you're continuing where it brings you, which is you're walking through some sequence of events to here, then to turn, and to go forward, left, right, forward, right, left. That's, but yeah, the ending was like really throws you off guard. and you're like, oh wait, okay, yeah, but then I don't get what it means. With and if you're watching this, you're listening to this me talk about it, I mean, it's already going to be spoilers, so I might as well assume. I don't know, I didn't think about it. If I'm telling you this and you didn't see it yet and you just want to hear this about it, or if it's like, oh, you already saw it, so you know what I'm talking about. But there's a guy in there. He's very peculiar. They don't really elaborate, but in the end, there's like a twist, but then it just leaves it open-ended. It was kind of like, more like, not like the intention was to like develop him for later on for a reason, so that you could go, oh man, now it's a different story. It was more just like a gateway to the next thing. Like, oh, okay, yeah, figures. There was something peculiar about this dude. He's obviously doing more than he's leading on, and I don't get what happened with the jar or what that was. I feel like watching it again, it feels like one of those movies you could just go back and just, maybe there's some details, and like, just now that you've seen it, the second watch, it'll be a different experience. And that was cool. Like the I guess, yeah, he did capture that kind of childhood, like, yeah, that, like, the freedom of like the summer in the fields and running around and just endless like exploration and adventure, and the simplicity of the script with the kids. It didn't feel scripted. It was just like random kind of dumb things that kids say, or just spur of the moment, not necessarily dumb, but just not living in the future. They're living in the moment. Hey, what's that? I don't know. Should we pick it up? No, don't. It picks it up. Whoa, look at this. It's like, that's just how kids are out in the country. And if it was more just, I don't know, like, typical movies have that typical, the kids would have like a typical way, and there would probably be 3 or 4 kids. They wouldn't feel comfortable doing two kids, because it's not powerful. You have to have super powerful, it's like the integration of like the kid, the action, the acting, the motion. You're tracking this one kid. It has to be real strong. If there's two kids can carry the weight of the scene. If you got 3 or 4, no, it's a group. One of them could be weak. One of them could be even, like the first one is like real weak. Dialogue, acting, everything's just awkward. Not even, but it adds to the everything. Just, that's the way I see it. I think about it that. So it's like, it's easier to write some adventure thing where there's a bunch of kids doing all this stuff, and you get to spend 5 minutes exploring, like, oh, this kid and his personality and that quirkiness, and then this other one, and okay, here's another 5 minutes of that, and then 4 kids, so you get 20 minutes. And then if we do that twice, it's 40 minutes. And we'll actually have to cut dialogue away. But what are you going to get one kid to say for 40 minutes? Like, this kid is still talking? It better be interesting. You see what I mean? So for it to be just 2 kids, and to really be like, that's pretty bold and pretty risky. Like, you really have to capture the audience with those kids, and he did a good job. The kids did really good. They didn't feel like actors. They didn't seem like they were acting. It was really immersive from the beginning. with the narrator, how it was the future him talking back upon it. It kind of brings like a nostalgia type of feeling. Someone else telling a story about their past, and I did this and this happened. And if you just showed me that happening, it's like, oh, there's a thing happening. But a person telling you this past experience from a long time ago, it's a concrete thing that took place. This person remembered it their whole life up until now. They're telling you all these things. It's impacted them enough, like, to tell you this whole thing. It's a whole different complex system rather than just like seeing it. So you see a whole scene play out for 10 minutes. It's like, okay. But if this guy's describing it, now you're invested. It's like, oh, this dude is telling me this stuff. Like, this is the guy right here who this happened to. This is the guy that was in the car wreck over there where that pole's broken. This is him telling the story. You're not just watching it on the news. It's a whole different thing. So that was good. And they didn't, with Bob, that's funny, dude. Bob, they could have made it super cringe. There was like 20 different opportunities where you're just like thinking like, oh no, I hope it doesn't get, but after a couple, just in retrospect, after only a couple times, you forget that that's a thing, because now you're comfortable with it. Like, there's nothing, you trust it now. Like, nothing, it's not gonna suddenly turn stupid. So you're just like, okay. And he was really like subtle with the implications. Plus, he was really embellishing the fact that it was, this is happening like what? Later in the story was, I think, in the 60s or something. Or it might have been whatever it was back then, way before even the 1970s. So a lot of things are way, way different. Even the kids, it wasn't common culturally known. Aliens, UFOs, flying saucers, it was like a very niche, fringe thing to know about. And that reporter guy, he knew a lot more than like the average person would know. He was way more just like, he knew that they were real. Like the innocence of the kids, how they were, like when they tell the truth, they're just like, this is what happened, mister. Nope, he was right there. Yep, I saw it, and this is, There's a fire truck. So that was really good. The progression of the story, it was just kind of like, it was like hinting at the idea of like Bob, coming here, but they didn't show all this crazy stuff. They had him walking a little bit and they didn't show a whole body, because just what he showed, that's just enough to get the complete picture, to that's basically like the threshold of like the realism. If he would have showed more, like if he would have showed the legs, even if because Bob looked extremely real, and like the way he was crying out and stuff was like very not typical of what we think of in movies. So it was very unique, and that brought like a sense of like, this is a real guy, like, and this is how he would react. And he's looking around, and Yeah, when he's walking, you know, there wasn't anything extravagant or crazy spectacular and just like, over the top. It was pretty everyday shit. Just here's Bob. Here he is. Here he goes. When they're walking, if they would have showed his legs, just based on the fact that we have never seen that for real, and then you'd have to see it enough times for enough of your life where that doesn't look weird. And then what do we have as a reference? Because if you see something that looks artificial, the motion or the texture of it, visually, the lighting of it, it's something trying to look like something. Like, that's not a real whatever. That's not a real person. Look, that's not a real dog. That's not a real something. That's not a real car that's trying to be it. But we don't have anything to reference for Bob. That's not a real one of those. We all know what that looks like walking around. No, so it's supernatural. It's weird. It's like fantasy. Oh, there's a little frog jumping around. I'm on this back patio. There's a little tree frog jump right in front of my face. So, yeah, that was really cool. They didn't overdo it, and the way they made him look was perfect. Yeah, just the whole idea, kind of how it played out. It didn't go like crazy elaborating into this big thing that's like, turning into this complex story and all these variables and things, and oh, now this and all that. It's like, yeah, like where you can feel a room of writers desperately trying to come up with like something interesting always, and you're like, oh god, now this, you already know what's gonna happen, and you're like, okay, cool. But no, this is like real. Like, this is like real movie. This is how all movies really should be. They stuck to the story. They kept it simple and easy to deal with. And it kind of was like that idea grows. And they touch back up on it later. So that's the progression. So it becomes stronger later on when you see what happened. Now it means something. You can have all the complexity in the world and explosions and crazy stuff happening and all this action, and but so what? Show 10 hours of that, but 2 minutes of actual thing, and you're hooked. You gotta know what's gonna happen now. What? No. Yeah. But it didn't try overly to be like strange and mysterious and just like, oh, I'm coy and I'm tricking you. And no, it's just, here's what happened. Here's these kids. And we're just kind of like seeing the story of like how it all unfolded. And then, yeah, the ending was like, whoa, dude. Yeah. Pretty heartwarming, cool thing. But there's a lot of things that are just like left open-ended. You'll never know. It would be cool if there was like a part 2 so you can see what happened, like why. Because I want to know now, like what's going on. What's going on with all that? Why did that all happen? Where are they? And then what happens, But yeah, I'd watch this movie. If you want to watch a really good movie, just press play. It's really good. The Space Apart. Very cool. I haven't watched a movie in a long time. Very, very cool little sci-fi movie. Yep.